Europe is home to some of the most breathtaking cities in the world, rich in history, culture, and beauty. But what happens when these treasures become too popular? Today we're diving into the phenomenon known as overtourism, and how it's impacting some of Europe's most iconic cities. Venice, Italy, the city of canals, romance, and unparalleled charm. Massive cruise ships dwarfing the gondolas and vaporettos disgorge thousands of tourists daily, overwhelming the narrow streets and bridges. The wake from these colossal vessels erodes the foundations of historic buildings, while the sheer number of visitors strains the city's ability to manage waste and maintain its fragile infrastructure. For the Venetians, the challenge is stark: to preserve their cultural heritage and way of life amidst the rising tide of tourism. How can we experience the beauty of such places without inadvertently loving them to death? Barcelona, Spain, a city famed for its vibrant Catalan culture, stunning architecture, and Mediterranean spirit. Over 30 million visitors a year flock to Barcelona, drawn by its beauty and allure. Housing prices have skyrocketed, pushing out longtime residents and changing the very fabric of the city. The Ramblas, once a vibrant promenade for locals, is now often choked with souvenir stalls and catering to a transient crowd. Local initiatives are working to promote sustainable tourism, encouraging visitors to venture beyond the well-trodden paths and experience the authentic Barcelona. The strain on resources is palpable, with water and waste management systems struggling to keep pace. Dubrovnik, Croatia, this medieval walled city, perched dramatically on the Adriatic coast, has become synonymous with breathtaking beauty and historical grandeur. Tourists disembark from massive cruise ships, flooding the narrow streets of the Old Town, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The sheer volume of visitors overwhelms the city's capacity, leading to congestion, inflated prices, and a strain on local infrastructure. The Croatian government has taken steps to manage the flow of tourists, limiting the number allowed within the city walls at any given time. Can Dubrovnik find a sustainable balance between sharing its splendor with the world and preserving its soul? Amsterdam, Netherlands, a city renowned for its picturesque canals, charming houses, and liberal attitudes. Millions of tourists flock to Amsterdam each year, drawn by its relaxed atmosphere and vibrant cultural scene. The city's famed canals, once a tranquil reflection of Dutch life, are now congested with tourist boats, their serenity shattered by the constant hum of engines and chatter of passengers. The pressure on housing is immense, with short-term rentals catering to tourists driving up prices for locals. The city has implemented measures to curb nuisance tourism, including restricting alcohol sales in certain areas and cracking down on disruptive behavior. There's a concerted effort to encourage more responsible tourism, urging visitors to explore beyond the well-trodden paths and experience the authentic Amsterdam. Santorini, Greece, an island of breathtaking beauty famed for its iconic whitewashed villages clinging to volcanic cliffs overlooking the azure waters of the Aegean Sea. The island's infrastructure, designed for a far smaller population, struggles to cope with the sheer volume of tourists, especially during the peak season. Cruise ships disgorge thousands of day trippers, overwhelming the narrow streets and overwhelming local businesses. Water, a precious commodity on this arid island, is strained by the demands of hotels and resorts. Waste management systems struggle to keep pace with the influx of visitors. The challenge for Santorini is to find a sustainable balance to protect the very essence of what makes them special while allowing visitors to experience their magic. Prague, Czech Republic, a city steeped in history. Its cobblestone streets and medieval squares whispering tales of emperors, alchemists, and revolutions. Overtourism, once a whisper, has become a roar, as millions of visitors descend upon Prague each year, drawn by its beauty, affordability, and central location. The iconic Charles Bridge, once a serene pathway across the Vltava River, is now often a sea of humanity, its cobblestones worn smooth by the relentless footfall of tourists. Locals find themselves navigating a maze of selfie sticks and tour groups, their daily lives disrupted by the constant influx of visitors. The pressure on housing is immense, as short-term rentals catering to tourists drive up prices, pushing out long-time residents. Iceland, a land of stark beauty, where glaciers carve through volcanic landscapes and the northern lights dance across the night sky. The country's fragile ecosystems, shaped by millennia of geological processes, are now feeling the pressure of increased tourism. The number of visitors has skyrocketed in recent years, putting a strain on infrastructure and natural resources. Off-road driving, once a common practice, is now restricted in many areas to protect delicate vegetation and prevent soil erosion. The iconic Blue Lagoon, a geothermal spa, has implemented strict booking systems to manage visitor numbers and preserve the experience. Iceland's challenge is to strike a balance between sharing its natural wonders with the world and safeguarding them for future generations. Paris, France, the City of Lights, a global icon of romance, culture, and sophistication. The Eiffel Tower, the Louvre Museum, the Champs-Élysées, these landmarks draw millions of visitors each year. Overtourism threatens to overwhelm the essence of what makes Paris special. The Louvre's long queues and crowded courtyard are legendary. The Eiffel Tower now swarms with tourists and vendors. Paris must manage its popularity while preserving its soul. Edinburgh, Scotland, a city steeped in history and culture, its dramatic skyline dominated by the imposing Edinburgh Castle, perched atop an extinct volcano. The Edinburgh Festival Fringe, the world's largest arts festival, transforms the city each August, drawing millions of visitors. While the festival brings a surge of energy and creativity, it also brings challenges. The city's population swells, putting a strain on accommodation, transportation, and public services. The pressure on housing is particularly acute, as short-term rentals catering to festival-goers drive up prices and reduce the availability of affordable housing for residents. The challenge for Edinburgh is to find a way to sustain its vibrant cultural scene while ensuring that the city remains livable for those who call it home. Cinque Terre, Italy, 5 picturesque villages clinging to the rugged Ligurian coastline, their pastel-colored houses stacked like children's building blocks. The influx of tourists strains the region's infrastructure and environment. Narrow footpaths are congested, leading to erosion and damage. Measures include limiting visitors on certain trails and promoting alternative trekking routes. The goal is to preserve this UNESCO World Heritage Site. Overtourism is a growing challenge that threatens the very essence of the cities we love to visit. By making conscious choices, traveling off-season, and exploring lesser-known destinations, we can help preserve the beauty and culture of these incredible cities for generations to come. The stories we've explored today are not just about far-off destinations, they are a reflection of our own relationship with the world around us. By making conscious choices, we can ensure that the wonders of our planet continue to inspire and amaze for generations to come. Let's make travel sustainable and meaningful.